King David's palace.
Mining activity, it took place for a long, long time. And most of the mining operations took place underground.
In 2005, she started digging in the city of David with one goal in mind.
For 3,000 years, one question has haunted historians and treasure hunters alike. Where is King Solomon buried? We're talking about a king of legendary wisdom and unbelievable wealth, whose reign is remembered as a golden age. Yet for all the stories, finding any actual physical proof of his kingdom has been a fierce, decades-long debate. Scholars have scoured sacred texts and ancient maps, digging through the ruins of Jerusalem, all looking for his final resting place. But what if the biggest clue wasn't in some glorious monument? What if it was hidden in plain sight, buried in the most boring place imaginable? Ancient tax records. This is the story of an archaeologist who followed a trail that everyone else had written off as a dead end. It's a trail that didn't lead to a simple grave, but to a fortified, booby-trapped fortress dug deep into the Judean hills. This structure holds a secret that could rewrite everything we thought we knew about the ancient world and the true source of Solomon's power. It's a discovery so profound, so controversial, it doesn't just challenge a few facts, it challenges the story of history itself. In the world of biblical archaeology, the debate over King David and Solomon's united monarchy is a total battleground. On one side, you have the maximalists, who are convinced the Bible's description of a massive, powerful kingdom in the 10th century BCE is spot on. On the other, you have the minimalists, who argue David and Solomon were probably just small-time tribal leaders whose legends got way overblown later on. For years, the minimalists had the upper hand, mostly because nobody could find any truly grand buildings from that specific period. Enter Dr. Anya Sharma, a brilliant archaeologist who had a habit of looking where no one else bothered. She wasn't interested in digging up famous city gates again. She was focused on the paperwork, the administrative trash of an ancient empire. For years, she obsessed over ostraca, basically ancient notepads made from broken pottery found near Jerusalem's Temple Mount. While her colleagues were busy cataloging grain receipts, Sharma was chasing down a series of bizarre tax records. These weren't your average receipts. They detailed huge, strange shipments of limestone powder, flammable pitch, and sulfurous oils. And all of it was being supplied by convict labor for a project that had no name. Her peers dismissed the records as a weird fluke, maybe for some forgotten industrial project. But Sharma saw a pattern. The records were coded, and one symbol kept appearing. Two interlocking triangles under a single, watchful eye. A symbol found nowhere else. Working on her own, she cross-referenced the records with geological surveys and developed a wild theory. This wasn't a public works project, it was a secret one. A project so important and maybe so dangerous that the king used prisoners to build it and a secret symbol to hide it. She realized the materials weren't for building something, they were for defending it. Limestone powder for suffocating dust traps, and pitch and oil for fire traps. Sharma believed she'd found the supply chain for a fortress designed not to keep people out, but to keep them in, forever. Her theory was met with a tidal wave of skepticism. I mean, complex, engineered booby traps in the 10th century BCE? It sounded more like a movie plot than actual history. Her colleagues thought she was making a huge leap, but Sharma was stubborn. She had mapped where the materials and the convict labor came from, and all signs pointed to a barren patch of land in the Judean hills nobody had ever bothered to excavate. She was convinced this secret project was the tomb of the very king who ordered it, Solomon. Getting funding was next to impossible. No serious institution would back a project this speculative. But after years of trying, Sharma scraped together a small team, funded by her own savings and a few private backers who were intrigued by her sheer nerve. They set up camp in the desolate hills, a windswept, rocky landscape miles from any known ancient town. The first few weeks, nothing but dirt, rock, and the growing feeling that her critics were right. But Sharma trusted her data. As a last-ditch effort, she brought in a ground-penetrating radar team to see what was beneath the bedrock. And that's when they got the first shocking proof she was right all along. The GPR scans lit up with impossible images, straight lines, right angles, and geometric shapes that were clearly man-made. It was the outline of a massive underground complex, bigger than a football field with thick casemate walls, a fortification style they knew from the period, but never on this scale and never buried. The scans also revealed something terrifying. A series of voids and chambers that perfectly matched her predictions of a network of sophisticated traps. The team began digging in complete. If this content blesses you and you'd like to support our mission, you can buy me a coffee or give a super thanks. Every contribution helps us create more content to inspire and uplift others. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on my future secrecy. As the layers of dirt came away, the true scale of the fortress was revealed. This wasn't just a tomb. It was a military-grade necropolis, an underground citadel built for eternal defense. They named it Mahal Hashoma, or Sentinel's Rest, after the symbol on the tax records. Getting inside was the first test. There was no grand entrance, just a simple well shaft dropping into darkness, but it was a trick. At the bottom was a false chamber, meant to convince any looters that the tomb was already empty. Sharma, however, remembered the GPR scans. Tapping along the rock wall, her team found it. A section that sounded different. A hidden door, cut so perfectly it was nearly invisible. Behind it lay the first real corridor, and the first trap. The floor was made of loose stone plates resting on a bed of sand, a pressure-sensitive trigger. One wrong step and you'd plunge into a pit. Using planks to distribute their weight, the team inched across, their flashlights illuminating the skeletons of those who hadn't been so careful 3,000 years ago. Next, they entered a chamber that reeked of sulfur. Nozzles were carved into the walls, all aimed at the entrance. This was the fire trap from the tax records, designed to turn the corridor into an inferno. The mechanism was dead, but its purpose was chillingly clear. Solomon never, ever wanted visitors. After weeks of carefully bypassing these ancient security systems, they finally reached the heart of the complex. It wasn't one burial chamber, but a series of sealed vaults. Each door was made of black basalt, a stone not from the area, and each was carved with a single Paleo-Hebrew word: wisdom, justice, power. Behind these doors, they found no gold, no jewels. They found an archive, a royal archive that would leave the world stunned. There were blueprints for the first temple, signed with the mark of Hiram of Tyre himself. Maps of Solomon's mining operations, revealing an industrial machine more complex than anyone thought possible for the era. Trade deals with the distant kingdom of Sheba, detailing exchanges not just of spices and gold, but of scientific knowledge. This was it, the smoking gun the maximalists had been dreaming of. It was undeniable proof of a highly advanced, incredibly wealthy state in the 10th century BCE Israel. It seemed to confirm the Bible story of a golden age. The discovery was revolutionary, but the real bombshell was waiting behind the final door, the one marked with that strange, watching eye. This room was different. It wasn't an archive, it was a crypt. In the center sat a simple, unadorned sarcophagus made of cedar, but the walls weren't lined with treasure. They were lined with hundreds and hundreds of clay tablets. They were a personal ledger, all written in the same hand, and they weren't titled Annals of a Great King. They were titled The King's Word. As Sharma and her team began the slow work of translation, a much darker picture of Solomon's reign began to emerge. These weren't records of glory, they were records of cost. The ledgers spelled out, in excruciating detail, the crushing taxes forced upon the northern tribes of Israel to pay for all the monumental building projects in the southern kingdom of Judah. They recorded the forced conscription of tens of thousands of laborers, not as proud citizens, but as a subjugated workforce. The tablets spoke of deep resentment, of tribal elders begging for mercy, only to be met with threats. They documented how food was diverted from the north to feed the bloated bureaucracy in Jerusalem. Here, in the king's own handwriting, was the economic blueprint for a civil war. The famous split of the kingdom after Solomon's death wasn't just a religious squabble or his son's mistake. It was the direct result of decades of systematic oppression, all meticulously planned and executed by Solomon himself. The wise king had personally sown the seeds that would tear his own empire apart. The implications here are staggering. The story of Israel's golden age is also the story of its downfall, written by the very same hand. It makes you wonder what other truths are hiding just beneath the stories we've always been told. We are still uncovering the secrets of Sentinel's Rest, and every new tablet raises more questions than it answers. If you want to follow this incredible story, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. You won't want to miss our next update from the field. But the final, reality-shattering secret wasn't in the ledgers. It was in the sarcophagus itself. When the team finally, carefully, lifted the heavy cedar lid, they didn't find one body. They found two. The skeletons were lying side by side. On the right, an older man wearing a simple gold ring with the seal of Solomon, the two interlocking triangles. His bones showed he'd lived a life of privilege. This was, without a doubt, the great king. But to his left lay another man, younger, smaller, and his hands were the key. The bones in his fingers showed telltale signs of repetitive stress, the kind you'd only see in someone who spent their entire life writing. Tucked beside him, clutched in his skeletal hand, were a simple wooden stylus and a single, unfired clay tablet. On that last tablet was the eye symbol from the fortress door. But this time, there was a name next to it, Huram. It took weeks for the team's experts to unravel this last piece of the puzzle. This wasn't Hiram, the king of Tyre. This was Huram-Abi, the master craftsman, mentioned in the Bible, a man of incredible skill. But the Bible only told part of his story. The fortress revealed his true job. He wasn't just Solomon's chief architect, he was the architect of his secrets. The evidence painted a shocking picture. Huram-Abi was the mastermind who designed the temple, the palace, and this very fortress. He was the one who engineered the traps, who coded the tax records, who managed the entire secret project. The eye symbol? It wasn't the king's mark, it was Huram-Abi's. the sign of the sentinel, the one who sees and guards the king's secrets. The two bodies in the sarcophagus, it wasn't a double burial, it was a final, eternal duty. Huram-Abi, the only other person who knew the whole truth of Solomon's reign, its glory and its shame, was bound to his king even in death. He wasn't just buried with Solomon, he was guarding him. He was the final security measure, the sentinel in death, as he was in life, ensuring the full, complicated truth of his king's legacy would be preserved for all time. He was both the scribe who wrote the truth and the guardian who protected it. The discovery of Sentinel's Rest has thrown the world of archaeology into absolute chaos. The initial finds, the blueprints and trade records, are being hailed by some as the ultimate proof of Solomon's magnificent kingdom. But the contents of that inner sanctum, the ledgers and the two bodies, present a far more complicated and disturbing reality. This discovery doesn't just confirm one side of an old debate. It blows the whole thing up. It suggests that both the maximalists and the minimalists were right, in a way. Solomon's kingdom was a powerful, sophisticated state, capable of incredible things. But it was also a brutal, oppressive regime built on exploitation, which made its collapse completely inevitable. The story of King Solomon is no longer a simple fairy tale about wisdom and gold. It's a story about ambition, power, and the devastating consequences that follow. It reveals that the grandest stories in history are often built on uncomfortable truths, hidden away in the dark. Dr. Sharma started digging to find a king's tomb, but she found something so much more important. She found a warning that even the brightest golden ages can cast the darkest shadows, and that the truth, no matter how deep you bury it, eventually finds its way into the light.
Feeling anxious or disconnected? Ready for a deeper faith journey designed just for you? Discover Bible Study for Black Women. This guide nurtures faith, strength, and growth week by week. Overcome fear and connect with God. This empowering journey is waiting. Find Bible Study for Black Women on Amazon today and start building unshakable faith.
If this content blesses you and you'd like to support our mission, you can buy me a coffee or give a super thanks. Every contribution helps us create more content to inspire and uplift others. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on my future videos.
Templar.